warm welcome to my community. I'm Sherwood McCaskey. As always, I'm pleased that you have joined us. In the last two episodes, we celebrated the Indian community in Barbados, with Sabir Nakuda sharing the stories of the East Indians who arrived from two regions of India. These individuals left India with little more than hope, goodwill, and determination. They identified a void in Barbados and immediately set about filling that void, meeting the needs of many Barbadians. This week, we continue the celebration by introducing yet another Indian who settled here in Barbados. This is a story of endurance, wisdom, and a great lesson in good business sense and understanding how to live and work harmoniously with your neighbors. Today we introduce you to a gentleman who, like the others, quickly integrated into society, overcoming initial panic and settling into Barbados. At what age did you come to Barbados, Mukesh?
Well, when he was in Japan, the bases were closing. So he used to depend his business from there. So he was on the verge of looking where to, relocate. So my mother's brothers were stationed in Barbados. So they say, why don't you come over here? And that's how we came. And that is how we started our business over here. They encouraged us, they showed us around, and we got in, and that's how we started. I came in 76. My dad came in the same year, few months later, and I think we opened our business in either 77 or 78.
There's quite a lot that we can learn from the story of a young boy who came from India to Barbados at an early age. He was wise enough to take the time to understand the system, grasp the nuances of Barbadian culture, and quickly learned how to win the confidence of his teachers and those in authority by simply being nice.
I had to go to education. My uncle took me to school called Community High School, Barbados Hill. When they looked at me and they said, okay, he's of the age, because here the secondary system with primary was around the 11 plus age. So I was of the right age. Unfortunately, due to the fact that I did not know Spanish and Spanish and French, I was put in Form 1, although I was in like Form 3 or Form 4 from India when I came. So they said, no, because you don't know these things, you need to learn, so you go back. So I lost 3 years. But so be it. But that was fantastic years for me, because the next 3 years, 4 years, I was topper of my class because I knew the subject matter. Maths was my forte. Everybody used to cringe about maths, and I used to breeze through. Those were fun old days. And then I remember I used to be the teacher's pet. So I started in those days, how to please the teacher. So when the teacher, we see the teacher from the corner of the door coming down the staircase, struggling with all the books and things to, come into the class, I used to rush out, help her, to bring it in and thing, and used to get, credit for it until people in my class caught on. Then the competition started. Funny incident I recall, we used to do a lot of play acting, because in India, I used to take part in a lot of dramas and stuff. So I got the play acting introduced to one or two of my local friends, and we used to try to mimic what we saw the night before on television. So one time we saw the fight scene, how people take each other and throw each other. So we decided to go that day, one day. So all of us here started eating, and we threw ourselves in the partition of our school. Because our classroom, there were 2 classrooms under one shed with a partition divider. So we threw ourselves in the partition, only to find ourselves in the next classroom with a big gaping hole in it. That day, boy, we were in trouble. We went straight to principal. I don't know how I got of it, but I got over it. I made sure that even my friend did not suffer too much. Otherwise, we'll be real lashes on our backside. But as I said, those were the good old days, fun old days. My dad had a retail shop on Swan Street called Holiday Fashions. So that is where I got my business income from, right? And we also had a small factory above the store that we had called Bed Sheets and Blankets. But that wasn't all that successful because, let's face it, how often do you change your bed sheets, especially if they are durable quality? So that's why we had a retail outlet. So sometimes we manufacture, we send it down, wholesale a little bit, and that's how we survived. Then I recall that every day I used to come, instead of going home, I used to come to my dad's store. So like school finishes 2:33, by the time you get to store, it's like 3:30, 5 o'clock, store closes. So I used to stay there. And that's where my interaction with the local diaspora began. Because I used to go and help them to, make sales and stuff like that, speak to them. And I found out Barbadian people to be very generous, very open-hearted, very loving people. And I fell in love with that because you felt like you were home. But that's the environment I came from, the family. And that same family environment I found here. And I really gelled with the local community. And I was pretty good at sailing too. If a customer comes in for a kerchief, he'll end up buying brief and a vest too all one time. So how to increase the sales started from there. Then it basically develops your communication skill. You drop away your shyness to the people and you realize what wonderful people they are, and when you speak to them, how they react. I guess you can say success of the Indian diaspora over here is because of that talent. In my case, because I came from I used to travel a lot in the beginning. My dad used to go to various countries, Singapore, Japan, Thailand. So you get to see different culture. Dealing with the public gave me the talent of making connection with a customer that you're talking. And I learned one thing. Life is not all about what you can get out of the people. It's how you make people feel. That is where the results come. You may not make that sale at that very moment, but they will remember how you made them feel. Sales will come. And that I have proven to me multiple times. And this is what I see lacking in our present day youth. They are so busy in their social network, they head down, that they don't make that connection with the people to people. Lot of time I have complaints from my customers that what kind of staff you are hiring. They look at you, may I help you? Or they sometimes don't even lift up their head from their phones. And I am so sad to see that communication skills in the youngsters is not happening. Yes, you get a lot of information. You stuff your head with it. But what are you doing with it? How does it benefit you? That I have not seen.
No doubt, that is an interesting question that continues to be asked. Now, what about his first Barbadian community? What was community life like for him?
When I came, my first residence was in River Road, St. Michael. And most of the time, we grew up in that basic area. So even our Indian community was more or less in the same Christchurch area or St. Michael area. They didn't expand out to different parishes per se. And yeah, basically that is the two parishes that we grew up in. But when we started our business, of course, we used to go to like St. Philip and St. Joseph to do our businesses and stuff. So that's when the expansion of parishes came to be.
Street life and its associated wisdom, how our children can benefit from it as they develop during their teenage years. In the first episode of this mini-series on the East Indian community, we discussed the push factor, exploring the reasons why the East Indians came to Barbados. In this case, his father had already left India and was working in Japan.
The community, the Sindhi community that I grew up in was pretty small at the time when we came. But the gelling of community as one used to happen almost every weekend. Because the community was small, there were not too many people, they used to look for excuses to meet. Whatever excuse, doesn't matter. Okay, I cooked this beautiful dish today, let's share it. So phone calls will go around and they'll end up at somebody or the other house. So that way we used to go around the neighborhood or wherever we were in different locations, and that gellness took place. I was even reminded by Shabir that how in the early days when there was that cohesiveness between the other Indian community and the Muslim. They used to be literally like brothers and sisters going into each other's houses. And then over the years, something or the other happened that has not been taking place. I don't know what it is. Perhaps one of these days we will know what it is, but that's what it was. But as I grew up and our community also grew, more and more people started coming in, some through migration, some through marriages, so the community also grew. Now we are at a point right now, I will say Sindhi community, approximately 300, 350 people. So we have a very diverse set of group. So you have the older generation, then you have the parent type of generation, then you have the kids, and then now the youngsters that are coming up. So yes, of course, even though we are still very closely knit, but of course, youngsters will try to hang out with youngsters. My age people will try to hang out with our age. So that is what's taking place currently. In regards to our interaction with the local community, in those days, due to the lack of information being passed around, there was hardly any interaction. But yes, I know from the Muslim community, they used to go into, they used to go in the countryside, so that interaction used to take place, which I experienced myself because I went into the same business as I grew up. I used to go in the countryside also, and I wasn't let down with my earlier brief that the Barbadian general public is excellent. They come from an excellent stock. Their grandparents made sure that the values were inculcated into every single child that was coming up. They may have held the belt in order to make sure that the values were there. Unfortunately, that belt has replaced now with, oh, nice job. Nice job doesn't work sometimes. You have to be shown a little tough love where it's necessary. I'm not advocating violence, but tough love doesn't have to be only punishment. It could be some other talent. So, having said that, values is what builds society. If we do not stand for values that we are born with, these are not something that we make up. We have that values in us. It's how we bring them out and we put them out on the world to see. And you define your life through your values defies you. And that makes the whole community progress in a correct direction.
A question of strong community values and a solid value system in his neighborhood. Well, scenes of children visiting friends' homes and enjoying warm hospitality have always been part of the Barbadian landscape. This evening's guest lived in an urban area and often looked forward to those visits to rural Barbadian communities.
Countryside, I tell you, it was magnificent. My early experience with countryside was when I was in my school days. And my cousins had friends, all over the countryside. Because I was still young at that time and didn't interact, didn't have that many friends. And what I noticed is that we used to get invited to their homes for lunch and stuff. We'd spend the whole day. We'd go in the morning, we'd come in the evening. I remember one time we were in St. Philip, and the family that I went to, they were working family. So mother, father, they used to work. Grandmother living in another separate home, and there's two little boys in this home. So when we went there, there was no mother, no father, only the two boys and the grandmother across, and the house open. I said, very strange. You have invited us to spend the day. I'm hungry. Who cooking? He said, we're not cooking. We're climbing the tree. So coconut, mangoes, whatever you want, you get to eat until my parents come. I said, all right, no problem. But what I found is that such a carefree days. Now you see every home has a grill. Security reason. No security over there. Back door, front door, windows, everything open. We used to run in, do what we have to do, and run back out. Gone half a mile down the road, nobody knows what's going on behind for the house. That was the faith that they had, that in those days they can leave their home, and when they come back, their home will still be intact with all the things in there.
Well, during those visits to Barbadian homes, there were the other experiences where he did not have to climb trees for his lunch.
Well, when I used to go countryside, they will invite me in like I'm part of the family. So whatever is being cooked, whether it's flying fish, whether it's cuckoo, whether it is chicken, you name it, the plate will come in front of you. And they didn't have to do that. Why did they do that? It's how we made them feel. And that's very important. As human beings, we have to make everybody feel nice. You may not be able to oblige everybody every time, but you can speak obligingly. So once you make them feel that, yes, you matter, they are yours.
Another principle from which we can learn is the importance of sporting activities in Barbadian communities. These activities have always been a significant feature, serving not only recreational purposes, but also fostering camaraderie and team spirit. For some, it was also a form of exercise. What about sporting activities?
Well, I love playing badminton. But that's the talent that I came with from India. So here, there was no badminton. After a very, very long time, after I left my school, is only when I discovered that some people are doing badminton, then I rushed to play badminton. So we used to, Garrison Secondary School used to have a court. They used to give it to us in the evening time. So a group of us Indians would go over there and use the courts over there until I found out Badminton Association. We joined that. So we used to go to Barbados Community College.
Okay.
Right. They had 5-6 courts for practice for Barbados Badminton Association. So I did that. Other than that, I wasn't too much talented with cricket. Of course, I love cricket, but wasn't talented. But I did love playing pool, 8-ball pool. So that I discovered. And the connection with that is, back home in India, I used to love playing carom. You know, there's a square board with 4 holes on the side. And the idea behind carom and pool is same, angles. In pool, you take a stick and hit the cue ball. In this, you use your fingers and hit the mark. And so I used to love that, because all the angles I know. As I told you, I love math. How it worked out in my brains, I don't know. Don't ask me. But I will always make sure that one of the things would go inside so that I get the chance to play the next one. So game was similar. You have the striped ball and the solid, and they used to have the white and the black, with red being the black ball that had to go in the end. Marble is different. Marble is totally different, because even in marbles we used to play a lot of games over there. And over there, you know, we used to hold the marble in our finger like this and shoot, and then also pelt and stuff like that. Yes, marble is different because it has various. It played in an open ground, so you pretty much set your rules. But carom was more confined. Our community was close knit. They were a group of us who were like-minded. So we used to gather together, have fun, you know, go to the beaches, this, that. One day we decided, you know what, let's become healthy. You know, let's do a little exercises. So we created a small little club. We went to convince one of our good friends to give us this backyard. She bought little dumbbells and bar lift and everything. So say after 2 or 3 times we did it, I said, oh, you know what, we need to give this club a name. So in those days, there was a big, fantastic music company called ABBA. You remember ABBA? So we'd say, okay, we're going to, you know, do something like that. So we named ourselves Amateur Bodybuilders Association, so ABBA. That's how it was created. Now, funny part is, we used to go over there, work out 15 minutes, 45 minutes break. That's our social club.
India is renowned for its tea, which is shared and enjoyed regularly throughout the day. In a previous episode of this mini-series, we introduced many Indian dishes that have been part of the Barbadian cuisine. Now, let's talk about tea.
And I have one for you as well.
Right, so as you can see, food and family, Indian family. Now, as you notice, this is tea, but it's not like a traditional Bajan tea. If you taste it, you'll see quite a lot of difference. You find it a little more flavorful, right? So that is where they put their own special masalas inside. And of course, the emphasis more on sugar also is there to give you that sweetness. Because every auspicious things that we should also have a little bit of sweet. Because once you have sweet and then you open your mouth to speak, your sweetness should pour out of you. You might be little different tasting teas that you all usually have. Now, the teas that we normally get from restaurants are dip. I don't like the dip. This is from the loose tea leaves. As again, I said, because of the diverse culture in India, every different place has their own set of food. Like if you go in South India, they are very famous for idli sambar. And they are famous for their own, what you call, we call it dosa, right? But English term, I guess you can say pancakes. But pancakes will be not exact same, because pancakes are a little more thicker. These are a little more flatter, and they put their masala potatoes inside. In North India, is a different ball game. You get different type of food. Actual North Indian, they do a lot of potatoes and eggplant, bhaji, and they serve you with chapati, right? So that's that. And then you go to even north, Sikh, where the Golden Temple is. Over there, their food is totally different. They have more chana, they have batura, something like Trinidad doubles. That idea came from there. But Trinidad doubles, the doubles are thin. The baturas are a little bit more thicker. And even the chana that they use are a little bit more spiced. So depending on where you go, like I'm Sindhi. So our origins are Sindh. So we do a lot of Sindhi stuff. So our like curry rice. What curry you think to be is not the curry that we use. Our curry is totally different. So curry rice, we do a lot of curry rice. And then for the sweets, you do because we came from Hyderabad, Sindh, that is where they have a lot of sivaiyas, similar to what Muslim use for Eid, right? So we will also cook those sivaiyas as breakfast time. So it depends on which geographical location of India you come from. That is where you get that talent. You go to Kolkata side, a lot of fish is used because they are from the Bay of Bengal. So they get a lot of fish.
With acculturation over time, our palates have embraced many Indian dishes and generally various aspects of Indian culture. This might give you a better understanding of why you enjoy certain traditions and flavors today. This has been My Community. I'm Sherwood McCaskey. The series continues next week at the same time. In the meantime, be good to yourself and look out for the interests of your neighbors.